Here we go. Islam Moors. My live popped me out, so I gotta start all over again. Islam. Today's class is on what is a plea to the court. It's on what is a plea to the court. Islam Moors class. You do this to me. What is your legal disability? Today's topic. I will post the topic and all that to the video a little bit later. Just make sure you share this video with other Moors that would like to be in the Saturday class. This class is open to all Moors domiciling in the Moroccan Empire, because obviously we have private platforms that we have, so we don't have to deal with these nuances of being on social media, as well as a lot of haters who seem to have nothing else to do but jump on our feeds. So today's class is on what is a plea to the court, what is your legal disability, and legal. What is your legal status? Do you have a legal status, or do you have a legal disability? Which one do you have? And your competence will let me know if you have a legal disability. Your competence will let me know if you have a legal status. If you have a legal status, that means you have a nationality. If you don't have a nationality, you have a legal disability automatically. And we're going to talk about what a plea is. And I want Moors, as they come back in, because we got booted off, as I said earlier, what is a plea? Because we can't use social media, we can't use hearsay, we cannot use how we've accustomed or how we've historically been gaining what we thought was knowledge. Islam? Because what we thought was knowledge was us being identified as Negro, colored, and black. What we thought was knowledge was us identifying or writing in all lowercase lettering in red print. Please, Moors, don't send those documents to the Northeast. We're in honor always. And we will stay in honor, and we will make sure you come to us in honor. So please do not send your documentation with lowercase lettering. And I'm going to, as well as lowercase red font for the whole lawful affidavit. No lettering, no red lettering, and no lowercase font as it relates to your appellation. Because you're supposed to be getting out of nom de guerre stateless and legal disability status. Not continuing that. And the only ways you can be fooled with doing these types of things is by being legally disabled. And I'm going to tell you exactly why as we go on. But the first question I put out there was, what is a plea? Because you can't use these TV shows that talk about law and order when they're giving you no law or order. They're taking you away from that, right? So I implore you, Moors, participate, get your brains functioning, and there's no such thing as there isn't such thing as a wrong answer, but the only way you can be correct and knowledgeable is if you correct the errors that are in your overstanding. Islam, or if you want to be understanding, then you have the prerogative to do that as well. Islam? So everybody talks about legal, the legal document or the legal process. Let's talk about what legal really means, and not what we think legal means, and not what we think a plea means. Because what we thought we were was putting us in a legal disability. Islam? So don't fight with knowledge. Don't fight with truth. You ain't gonna win that fight. Ever. Islam? I'm not here to make you think. I'm here so we can grow together in knowledge of self. Islam? So what is legal? Legal is, per Black's Law Dictionary 4th edition, conforming to the law, according to law, required or permitted by law, not forbidden or discountenanced by law, good and effectual in law, proper or sufficient to be recognized by the law, cognizable in the courts, competent or adequate to fulfill the requirements of law, the cognizable in courts of law as distinguished from courts of equity, or governed by the rules and principles of law, in contradiction to rules of equity. So what did I just say? Legal is something that conforms to law. If it doesn't conform to law, can it be determined? Can it be viewed as illegally or illegal? It's a lot of individuals out there in so-called quasi courts and so-called tribunals that are claiming to be legal. But are they in conformity to law? And do you know what is conformity to law? Do you know what law is? I had 3 classes on Dred Scott case. The 3rd class was the best class. Obviously, the 3rd class is going to be the best class. Watch the 3rd class. It's going to get you an understanding of status. It's going to get you an understanding of why Dred Scott had a legal disability.
Didn't know.
And why majority of us have a legal disability. We talked about what legal is. What did we say legal was?
Someone said they are lawless. Samuel Byron.
Not forbidden. So legal is what? Conforms to law. According to law, not forbidden. Do we need to look up the definition of law? Shall we? I think we shall before we get to disability. And I got to go into my Black's Law because I didn't print this one out. So I'm going to go to Black's Law. Not sure which. Oh, shucks. Black's Law is such a big book because it's so much in it. So much in it. So let's go to Black's Law 4th edition. As always, I'm always reading from 4th edition. Islam? All right. The definition of a law: that which is laid down, ordained, or established. A rule or method according to which phenomena or action coexist or follow each other. That which must be obeyed and followed by citizens, subjects to sustain or legal consequences is a law. Did y'all get that? Who lays down law? Do we know who lays law down? Can anybody lay law down? Can these quasi courts tell you that you can't go across the street against a light? Can they tell you you can't travel upon your ancestral inherited estate without corporate contracts with the corporate quasi states? Can they make law?
No.
Who made the law? It would be the people, right? The people make the law. And what contract did they establish to substantiate the law? I'm going to tread slowly because I want the point to be heard. Almost didn't have class today because I was doing paperwork. Almost didn't. But this is necessary because it relates to all of these invitations to contract by these quasi courts that have no jurisdiction at Morocco, but yet they're calling you in to their tribunals, and they're claiming to be legal. And they're claiming to have a charge against you from violating a law. Are they not? What is the established law that has been ordained by the people, the sovereigns of the land? Do we know what that is? We gave a constitution which said how people are to operate commercially within the Moroccan Empire, who identified as citizens of the several states. Am I correct? Fatima, what's wrong?
No, go ahead.
Right? So we gave a commercial contract to do business at Morocco, which was us ordaining and establishing, the sovereigns ordaining and establishing the law of the land, Islam, right? But this is a commercial agreement, right? Because under Article 6, doesn't it say treaties made or which shall be made with the United States is the supreme law of the land, right? Because when we talk about the Constitution, it's a commercial agreement between two parties or a number of parties who sign on. So who signed on? Who affirmed? What's the ratified? That's the word. Because for anything to be law, it has to be agreed upon, right? The Constitution says this is how you're going to act commercially. But the Treaty of Peace and Friendship said this is how we're going to function as it relates to disputes pursuant to Article 20. So pursuant to Article 20, when there's a dispute against a Moor and a United States citizen, it is the consuls who settle those disputes. And it is the said government that assists the consuls with those actions or decrees handed down by the consul. Am I right or am I wrong? We're going to talk about citizens of the United States. Who is a citizen of the United States? If you leave the bug alone, the bug will leave you alone.
I ain't messing with him.
He a big bug. I think it's a spy cam.
That might be.
It's a spy cam out of the blue. Well, let's go mess with them. Vertigo attacking Islam, right? So we gave you the definition of legal and the definition of law and who can establish law based on a contract, the Constitution, between parties who've ratified and signed on as signatory that they would do a specific thing, that they would follow the law. So if anybody's not following the law, are they legal?
Go. I don't want to hit you.
Are they legal? They're not conforming to law. According to law, not forbidden. So aren't they unlawful? Islam. What is a disability? What is the definition of a disability? Think about it in its basic sense of disability. That joint just hovering.
Listen.
The basic... He is really just hovering, like, really. Fatima, you gotta stop distracting me. She is... Disability. The want of legal capacity to perform an act. Legal disability is the want of legal capacity to perform an act. So here's my question. Every so-called judge of the so-called quasi-court Ain't they got a legal disability? They're not conforming to law, and they want to conform to law to perform an act. They use what? They use these tactics, right? Threat, duress, coercion. By kidnapping you. All a violation of the law. So are they legal? They do have a legal disability. They don't have a legal status. But a lot of you Moors don't either. Am I right or am I wrong? Any questions so far?
No.
Legal disability is one who does not conform to law, but wants to conform to law to perform an act. Does that make sense? What would you have to stop being a legal disability in order to be a legal status? What would you have to do? Whereas though you conform to law, you're in conformity to law, and you're not forbidden. Are you understanding what I'm saying here? Mm-hmm. We're going to tackle the 14th Amendment, people. Because based on the 14th Amendment, those who didn't have this automatically, by default, presumed to be a United States citizen. And if they presume you're a United States citizen, they presume you are also a citizen of the so-called state you reside in. But Moors, do we reside anywhere? I even seen where they even claim non-residents. So how are they making this claim? That you are a 14th Amendment United States citizen, i.e., ergo, a state citizen, even though you ain't got no rights, you got privileges. Why do they make this presumption of you? I'm going to tell you right now. You ain't make no damn plea. Yep. I'm going to walk away on that one. Now we're going to dabble into what a plea is. I want one more to tell me what a plea is in the comment section. Please, Moors, participate. If you get it wrong, well, you already know what your issue is. Now you just fix it with the truth. Right? Right?
Right.
We got to stop looking at TV to identify us as well as to give us information, because that magic box, as some people call you, has been putting the magi trick on you, getting you to believe something that's false. And why did you believe that? Because mommy didn't tell you the truth. Because mommy didn't even know it. I keep saying you got to fix the sin your mom put you in. Status of the mother is what?
Status of the child.
Status of the mother is what? Status of the mother is what? In law, it is that.
Amos said, answering the plaintiff's claim.
Oh, somebody said it right. Who was that? Amos.
Amos.
Uh-huh. He got that from Consul commissioning class on Tuesday. Try to act like you already knew that. I know y'all appellations. I recall much. It is what again? What is a plea?
Answering the plaintiff's claim.
Answering the plaintiff's claim. So is it in actuality a rebuttal? Is that what it is? Y'all got all this, right? I don't like to erase all the time because I like to come back to things. So a plea is a rebuttal. The so-called United States government presumes, misconstrues, and says you are a United States citizen because you never said what? You never made a plea. You never said who you was.
Yep.
And when you did say who you was, you kind of conformed, not to law, so let me tell you exactly what it is. If I have my paper out here, because sometimes things just fall away and I I leave them on the printer. Fatima, can you get those documents off the printer for the plea? Islam, thank you. Islam. State versus Bigmo states the following. In the first place, the courts have held that the law presumes that all persons who live among us are citizens until the contrary is shown. How do you show that you're adverse to that claim? How do you show it? By making a plea, a rebuttal. To claim that, to state for the fact in your affidavit, in your declaration, in your proclamation that you have no legal disability.
Yeah.
Which means you don't have a want of a legal capacity to perform an act. You actually have one, which is your nationality, which is how you identify in society, in government, in the political arena, right? Then they have all types of kinds of pleas. All kinds of pleas. So when you make your plea to the court, you're saying what? I ain't do that. That ain't me. You don't got jurisdiction. This claim that this so-called United States citizen have lodged against me was done so in an improper venue. No legal, they have a legal disability. And they gave you, so-called administrator, so-called judge, a legal disability because you don't conform to the law and you want a legal capacity to perform an act, but you don't have the jurisdiction, or you are prohibited lawfully from continuing. Why are you prohibiting when jurisdiction is challenged? Because a want of jurisdiction doesn't give it to you. Consent and waiver by the parties also doesn't give it to you. That's stare decisis case law. You're doing it for under this threat, duress, coercion, kidnapping Moors, fraudulating the documents in the original complaint that wasn't filed by an injured party, but was filed by a highwayman who looked to hypothecate what belongs to you because you have a legal disability and he knows that. A plea. Common law practice. A pleading. Anyone in the series of pleadings, more particularly the first pleading of the part of the defendant. Are you a defendant in that case or in that libel? Because a libel is to defame someone. It's to lodge insults upon someone. So how are they defaming you? When they file a complaint in their quasi-court, which lacks jurisdiction and is an improper and unlawful venue as it relates to a foreign national and alien. What do they do in their record to make it seem or appear or misconstrue, to make it assume, to make the assumption that you are within their jurisdiction? What are some of the things they put in their complaint when they file it with the so-called clerk? Because the clerk is the one they're filing it with, or the district attorney. This is before a so-called administrator acting as a judge is even in the process. This is starting at the court administrator's office when they're filing the case number and they're assigning it to the different administrators of their counties. What is the policy enforcer putting in the system? The complaint. What is the complaint and what does it say? Which is a falsification of records, which is fraud from the beginning. Because when they tried to pull you over, or when you sent your affidavits of fact to their quasi courts, their media courthouses, when you sent the information to them to rebut their plea, which is rebuttal to their claims, you told them, hey, you're outside your jurisdiction. I'm a Moorish American national. I am not a quasi-state citizen, and you don't have jurisdiction over me, and I'm not a 14th Amendment citizen either. So that presumption is dead when you do what? It's dead on arrival. When you send your affidavits stating for the fact who you are, which is putting an adverse claim in as to what they say in their record you are. So when they file their original complaint, what are 3 things they say you are? What do they say, Moors? You have to get this. Because when you're putting in your rebuttals and when you're going to the clerk, the court administrator, first line, you need to be saying, hey, these charges are false. I am not Negro, colored, and black as this complaint states. I have no name. I have an appellation. It's Sharon Tracy Gale Bay. I am not black. I am a Moor. That's a plea, y'all.
And they do have CDC codes for Moors.
What else do they say? They say you have an address. Oh, no, you do not. You have a mailing location. You have a domicile. But you don't have a residential address. So they're fraudulating the documents as it relates to you, Moors, because as soon as you have an encounter with a highwayman, the first thing you're saying, and I know you're saying it, I'm a Moorish American national, the Treaty of Peace and Friendship protects me, and you're outside your jurisdiction as it relates to me. And nothing you present in my face can change that reality, that fact. Because I'm showing you my nationality identification card and pursuant to title what? Pursuant to what title? Under the Department of Justice website, which is their law. It says what? Title what? What title am I talking about? Moors, you're supposed to know this because whenever you get challenged, you're supposed to be able to say it and you're supposed to be able to pull it up in your phone so you know what they are required to conform with. They're required to conform with the law. And the law says absence of a nationality identification card. These 3 corporate ward cards are proof of identity. Which is what? Birth certificate, social security card, and what? State issued ID? So that's presenting those 3 cards is giving you what? A legal disability. Because Moors identifying as Negro, colored, and black, you have a legal disability. Meaning you're not conforming to law and you have a want of a legal capacity to perform, but you don't have it. And that's not just talking about black people. That's talking about white people who are falsely identifying as free white persons when that status excludes the Caucasian race. Completely excludes you. Black's Law Dictionary, look it up. Not gonna read it. Definition very long. But in the middle of the definition, it says to exclude the Caucasian Aryan race. Y'all want to play games with me? Don't play games with me. I read. I gain knowledge and I push it out because we're all supposed to not have a legal disability. We all, everybody dwelling here, is supposed to have a legal status. You already got one, you ain't claiming it. Let's talk about that. I was looking for my document. Excuse me. I got House documents, 59th Congress, second session, page 459, Citizens of the United States, Expatriation. I'm going to tell you some stuff. Y'all got to get in alignment with truth. Y'all got to get in alignment with what is legal and what conforms to law, according to law, and is not forbidden by law. Morocco. There are, American legation, Tangier, August the 3rd, 1906. I'm on page 459. And the document I'm reading is from the House of Representatives. 59th Congress, second session, document number 326, Citizens of the United States, Expatriation and Protection Abroad. Page 59. There is, strictly speaking, no Moroccan laws relating to citizenship of Moorish subjects in Morocco. The fundamental laws of this non-Christian country are based entirely upon the Islamic code, no part of which treats to the subject of citizenship. They're trying to tell you you ain't claimed cargo in no nation. That's what they're trying to tell you. There are, however, numerous treaties and conventions between the various Christian countries and the Moroccan Empire, the Moorish Empire, by means of which citizenship in this country is defined, meaning how you identify in a society. They're using citizenship because they don't know what other word to use, because they're supposed to use nationality. Because everybody has a right to a nationality. Everybody has one. You just may not know what it is. But as I understand from the above acknowledged instructions that it is not the desire, that it is not the desire of the department to call for a report upon such lines. Of course it's not. They don't want you to know you have a nationality, therefore you don't need to be identifying as a so-called United States citizen, which doesn't even exist.
Say that again.
Nobody is a citizen of the United States unless you're property within it. You're a resident. A thing.
Identified.
Moors abroad, as well as on the northwest continent, you have a nationality. You gave up your nationality by naturalizing as a thing, as property of the United States when you got your passports. You already had treaty relationships with Morocco that you could have came through those borders with. You didn't have to sneak as Mexicans. You're on the same land. How you on the same land and they sitting here telling you you can't come over here? Because you don't have a nationality, because you have a legal disability. Make your damn pleas. Rebut the 14th Amendment claim they have on you as property, as residents in their jurisdiction. And I got some other stuff to say, but I got to get there. Bear with me. I will therefore confine these remarks to what favors me. That's what they're trying to say. To general conditions existing, which may possibly be some use in connection with the information desired. Citizenship in Morocco may be said to be governed by the laws pertaining to the same in other countries. Other countries don't got citizens. They have nationals who belong to nations. Nativity, where they were birthed from. Naval. Why you think this is called a naval? Where you come from. naval, nativity. You come from your mom. That's why she identifies. That's why you're identified through her status. Because she gave birth to you. How do you know this? Because you came from her Stargate. That's the one thing you can confirm without a doubt you came from. And there is DNA to validate that.
Islam.
Your father can't claim you. He ain't have you. You are the condition of your mother. And in every court case refers to the condition of the mother for the condition of the child. So Moors, if you have nationalized, your children are already nationalized because they under you. Automatic. Moles. With the exception that all persons residing in Morocco who cannot prove foreign citizenship, foreign nationality, or protection are considered in law, that's what ipso jure means, in law, pertaining to law, as Moorish subjects. So, are there any United States citizens at Morocco?
Nope.
I mean, you can identify as a thing. That's what you choose to do. But law just told you there's no such thing.
There you go.
Did that not say that? So y'all sit here going around with y'all ward cards, claiming to be property of the United States because you rather have a legal disability than a legal status? Because you think a plea is submission to jurisdiction. And that's why you don't make them. Which means that's why you don't rebut or say anything to confirm or substantiate who you are. And I said to affirm and substantiate who you are. So the record's going to reflect you're a resident of the United States of America, your property. Can property be heard? Nope, gotta need an attorney.
Yep.
Who, when you sign off, is automatically your power of attorney. They're speaking for you and they're doing all types of stuff, which is most likely against you. Because who do they owe their allegiance to? Who do they claim allegiance to? Not you. They recognize you got a legal disability and they took advantage of it. They got a legal disability too. Just so you know. Moorish subjects. Listen, people. Moorish subjects lost their nationality only by becoming naturalized in or protected by another country having treaty relations with the Moroccan Empire. What did I just say? That means when you got your passports, because you wanted to go fly somewhere, when you got your passports or your visa cards to come in to Morocco, you thought you were coming into the United States. There's no such thing. The United States is a corporation. It does not have territorial jurisdiction.
No, it does not.
At all. And
At
territorial means land. Terra, etymologically
Means earth.
is land, is earth. The earth. So, the United States jurisdiction does not exist territorially. They're claiming it extraterritorially. Isn't that correct?
Yeah.
But didn't they relinquish that jurisdiction back in 1956? Pursuant to stat what? What stat was that?
Oh, God.
So I gotta go there.
You gotta go there.
Damn it, damn it, damn it.
Go there, girl. Go there. You know you want to go there.
Where's that? I know it's in my console notification access, and it's also in my console training classes where we have on Tuesdays, so we can get your thinking proper and in alignment with legal status and not legal disability. So that was Public Stat at Large 856, I believe. What does that say? Says a lot.
I wonder.
That is Public Law 856, August the 1st, 1956, page 773. 70 stat. So it's 70 stat 773. When you're looking up legal statutes, let's say legal statutes, we want to call it that. That's statutes that conform to law. That's all that is. We can look up the definition of statutes. I don't want to though. Sometimes I got to give you some homework to do when you're not around me. Islam. Now I got to figure out the part that I want to read, because I don't want to read the whole thing, yo, guys. I want to read just what I need to read. Fatima, where's it at?
You are the court.
Islam.
Eric Harris said the court, but he is the court.
All right. Here it is. Public Law 856, Joint Resolution. Approving the relinquishment of the consular jurisdiction of the United States in Morocco. Doesn't it talk about consuls in Article 20 of the Treaty of Peace and Friendship? They relinquished consular jurisdiction of the United States. They relinquished it. Which means what? Pursuant to Article 20 of the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, that's located at 8 Stat 484. So if you put 8 Stat 484, that'll bring you up to the public statutes at large. And what did we talk about in our consul commissioning class as it relates to public statutes at large in the Supreme Court? I don't have my highlighted copy, so I can't read it verbatim. But under treaties and the Supreme Court, what you place in evidence has to come from the public statutes at large of the United States. Why? Pursuant to the Constitution. The Constitution says what? Once a law is made, or once a law is established.
You got mail up there.
No, you're not.
Right.
So, once law is established, or once treaties are established between nations, what happens to put them in the law of the United States? What do? Well, first, after they sign the treaty, they have to ratify it. After they sign it, once they sign it, it's active and it's positive law. Once they sign it, right? But there's something called the Constitution as it relates to what puts it in practice, what enforces it, right? Is putting in the public statutes at large. But before they put it in the public statutes at large, the Senate has to vote on it. 2/3 majority. And once 2/3 majority votes on it, it gets ratified, it gets passed to the houses, then it's put in the public stat book, which makes it evidence in law. And what is the so-called judge's responsibility, whether they be quasi or not? What are they supposed to be doing? I'll wait for an answer. What is the judge supposed to be doing that he's not doing? Because he's not a judge. What is he doing? What's the judge supposed to be doing? Even if if you claim to be something, you better be doing exactly what you claim to be, or you can be sued for acting in a capacity when you have a legal disability.
Amos said, adjudicating law.
Ha! You said it, you ain't got to continue. He said what? What did he say?
Adjudicating law.
So a judge is supposed to be adjudicating law. Right. He's supposed to be adjudicating law. That was the definition that was posted on in the comment section. Say it again, what was it? Adjudicating law. But what are the 3 bases for establishing jurisdiction? What are the 3? Status, jurisdiction,
venue,
then adjudication.
Then adjudication.
How are you adjudicating and you haven't the status? You have a legal disability. Why do you have a legal disability? Because per expatriation, you're a Moorish subject. Can a Moorish subject be a judge?
No.
Absolutely not, right? So
No.
not only can he be a judge, he got to be authorized by who?
By the Moor.
Right. Moors, am I saying too much to you right now? Am I popping your pineal gland? Is it like, you know what, yes, I need a break. I got to go get a drink. A judge is this: an officer so named in his commission.
That's it.
Wait a minute, I gotta give it to you. Who presides in some court. A public officer appointed to preside and to administer the law in a court of justice. I'm gonna read that again. And a judge, per Black's Law 4th edition, page 976, is an officer so named in his commission who presides in some court, a public officer appointed to preside and to administer the law in a court of justice. Legal means to conform to law, according to law, and is not forbidden. So can anybody judge if they don't conform to law? And they got a legal disability? Y'all need to go into these tribunals like, you got a legal disability to proceed. Like, look, use these terms, babies. I'm saying them on purpose for clarity. Legal disability. You got a legal disability. And you ain't even got to say much, yo. Y'all think y'all got to go in there and be like, yo, based on this case and boo, 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 stare decisis. Baby, it is so simple. You got a legal disability. You want to act, but the law forbids you from acting.
You're a subject.
What?
I said, because you're a subject.
Because you're a Moorish subject. Because you came over here and naturalized as a United States citizen.
Yes.
Oh, I ain't even getting nowhere, y'all. Oh, my goodness. The stuff that's in my head. Preside. So he's supposed to be administering the law based on his commission to preside. But he got a legal disability.
Ooh,
or she. She's in he, and he's not in she. That's funny. Just want to say that for the record. Preside. Do I want to read preside?
Please do.
You sure?
Just do it.
Okay.
Just do
All
it.
right. Oh, goodness. Preside. To occupy the space. Or wait a minute. Fatima's messing with me. She bringing Chucky out, y'all. To occupy the place of authority or of president, chairman, moderator. To direct and control or regulate proceedings of chief officers or to preside at public meetings. Can they preside if they don't have a commission or an office? Because to have an office, you have to have what? A commission. You can't have an office unless you've been commissioned by an authority to act. But you have to not have a legal disability to act. It says it right here. A disability is the want of legal capacity to perform an act. So they want it all day long. They got a disability. Mm-hmm. They need those disability placards. We need to give them spaces so they can drive right on up because they got a legal disability. Why do you think they laugh at us and they make all these movies that play they laugh at us hard, y'all. And we give them stuff to laugh at us for. I mean, we be drawing. Just like the picture that the Moor posted, where it showed Neo when he was in a little pod and he was just coming out of the pod. He was just waking up in the pod and the cords was pulling off of him, right? And then the picture below, I forgot what the picture below was, but it was a studied Moor, right? But you got the new Moor who just woke up trying to debate with the Moor who been up for a minute. Make sense? You still gotta unplug the cords and go wash the hell off. And you trying to debate. Moors, come on, y'all, seriously. I'm only going to point you to the same stuff that I would want somebody to point me to. In my stupor, because we love to talk. Moors love to talk. Whether we Negro, colored, and black, identifying as such, we love to talk. Look, I ain't got time to talk. Let's get it done. Islam, let's get her done. Let's wrap this all up. The 14th Amendment, because nobody challenged or rebutted, and nobody voided patents or, what do I want to call it, liens. How a corporation gonna put a lien on property?
It can't.
How? But did it not do that?
Yes. We never rebutted it, so.
But rebutting it now. Those liens is dead. How do y'all recognize that the Constitution is so flawless that no matter what you think you're going to do in adverse to that, it's null. It was null and dead and void from the beginning. It only took the Moorish to stand up and say, yo, wait a minute. You can't be leaning property. You damn sure. How you leaning property when you don't own the land? So how you putting a UCC1 fixture filing on all of the land in the north, in the Moroccan land, for property that is situated on top of the land when you don't own the land? And you are not even in proper status to do it.
A dwelling on top of the land.
A dwelling on top of the land. So the so-called United States, in order to get funding, because of the war and they were broke and they needed funding, used the Moors, as they always do, to create liens on fixtures upon land
that's not theirs.
That's not theirs. And didn't even have the proper status to do it. Legal disability. So those liens are dead.
Yes, they are.
Terminated. Void in law. So everybody out there that think they own their domiciles or their property, you don't own nothing. They claimed it in a lien. All of it. Which is why you always paying taxes, and which is why you'll never stop paying taxes on property that, even though when you signed the so-called mortgage and paid it off, you still owe.
Yep.
Because of that lien. That nobody knows happened. What created the lien? I'm going to tell you what created the lien. The 14th Amendment created the lien.
Yep.
All y'all wanted to be residents in the United States, but your property. So they took your land and gave you forfeiture. I mean, what do they call it? A forfeit? I can't say the words. So when you became a United States citizen, you literally lost your land and your interest in it. Now you're sharecropping, but you're like just a dweller on the land. You're a squatter. And that's why they move you whenever they want to move you. Because they linked all of the land to pay the debt. Or to use as collateral for the funding that they received from the IMF and which is the internet, what is it? The monetary, what is it called? The IMF and the Federal Reserve Banks.
Monetary Fund.
And what's it called? International Monetary Fund. So those two are holding liens that are not active. They're not active liens anymore. Can't be active liens because first, property can't own property. Property can't establish trusts. Who would have to establish these trusts? You got to be your proper person, people. You got to have a legal status and not a legal disability. There's a lot of stuff coming down the pipeline. So when you're sitting here forced to go into a unlawful, not legal tribunal because you're in fear of the threat, duress, or coercions for them kidnapping you because they don't conform to law, make sure you put pleas, rebuttals to the claims. Make sure you recognize that when they put their original claim in, they called you a Negro, colored, and black person, and you never rebutted that claim. And how you rebut it? What are the first things that you want to put in the record, Morris? When you're forced unlawfully to make a restricted appearance because you're not a defendant, you're a respondent. This is relating to the only lawful court. And why are the Moorish courts the only lawful court at Morocco in the Moroccan Empire? I want somebody to answer that. I gave you the answer in all of the stuff that I read today. And I gave you the sites also. I said what? What did I say? Expatriation. Right? Mm-hmm. As well as you had expatriation, that was what? You had expatriation. And then you had what? What was the other one? I think it's 70 stat 856. Relinquishment of consular courts. So, you got relinquishment of that. You got expatriation. All who do not have a nationality or lost it by naturalizing in the as a United States citizen as property. Because what is a damn citizen, really? Property of a nation. Citizens are property of a nation because nations don't have citizens. They have subjects or nationals, right? Mm-hmm. So you got expatriation. All who do not have a nationality or lost their nationality through nationalizing as a so-called United States citizen resident is automatically in law, which is what ipso jure means, a Moorish subject. Did I just give you ammunition? I seriously did. I seriously did. I gave you power. I shared some of mine, which is knowledge.
Knowledge is power.
So, if based on 70 stat 856, quote me if I'm wrong, Relinquishment of consular courts at Morocco. So that means the United States doesn't have a consular court. That's what I'm trying to say, y'all. In a nutshell. No United States consular court. Okay, but the treaty says what? With, that's the official language of it. And it's codified in the public statutes at large under 8 Stat 484. That's where it's codified in the law, in the statutes, which are legal. Right? So, when you put your notice of removals in, Moors, I'm telling y'all got to do the work. Somebody denoted to the banks, right? We was talking about banks. The courts is money, the money's is court. We the only people that got court. Why you think they keep trying to put you in their tribunals? Because you the money. You are the money. We go to banks to get money and we going in there and giving them money. How more is going to the bank to get to open up accounts to put money in, and the banks is not honoring that? How's that possible? I'm gonna tell you why, because y'all not leaning people, Moors. Who can lean? The sovereigns. Or people who have a commercial interest, right? But if you're leaning commercially, you better have an interest, and it better be legal. But if you got legal disability, 9 times out of 10, you don't have the right to issue a lien because you have a legal disability. The law does not acknowledge you because you are a resident under the United States as property pursuant to the 14th not amendment, because that's not based on positive law. Because nothing that has been established that goes against the Constitution has standing in law. Right? So, if the Treaty of Peace and Friendship under Article 20 states the consuls are to make the decision as it relates to disputes between United States citizens and Moors. What am I saying? Commercially. I'm saying a lot. And then you got Article 6, which says what? You're not supposed to be kidnapping no Moors. You're supposed to be releasing. When you come into port, because every port at Morocco is what? A Moroccan port. Because you're here. Every port. So when they try to stop you, it's take it into the consideration of you traveling, right? In a vessel, right? Whether the vessel be you, the body, you, the conveyance, whatever is transferring the vessel. You don't have the right to inspect. Because my passport, which is my nationality identification card, tells you you're outside your jurisdiction. Because I'm not a resident of the U.S. I'm not a citizen of the United States. I'm not property. I don't have a ward card. So the consuls, only consuls at Morocco are Moors, because the so-called United States relinquished that jurisdiction in 1956 pursuant to this stat. So your decrees, Moorish consulates, when they're competent, is the law of the land. So when you issue those writ of habeas corpuses, when you issue your affidavit of facts, make sure that it's in proper English so you can be received as the nobility you are. Because some of your own wearing turbans and fezzes are going to put you back into slavery. Sometimes it's intentional. Sometimes it's just ignorance and incompetence. Either way, you should be competent enough to not be snared in those traps. Because pain strengthens the mind. It should, though. if it's not doing that for some of you out there. Islam? So what I'm saying is, everybody who doesn't have a nationality is a Moorish subject ipso jure, automatically subject to what? The law. And that's the law handed down by the Moors, the sovereigns of the land. Correct? Am I correct? Am I right? I know I'm right. Law supports me. Truth is law. Law is truth. And truth needs no apology. Truth, because truth doesn't injure. Truth don't injure you. You injure yourself by avoiding and not abiding by the truth, or being away from, or abiding the truth, meaning going away from the truth. Because to abide is to go away. Abide, away from the truth. Outlawedness, lessness. So Moors, you have to put your notice of removals in first, right? When you get called into an unlawful tribunal, always know your bloodline is your bloodline. All one has to do to proclaim and declare their nationality is to proclaim and declare it. Verbally first. Well, actually, you got to know it. You got to express it. Then you got to put it into evidence. Because you're going to rebut. You're going to answer these claims with your adverse claim, which is what your plea is, an adverse claim, to what has been put in the record to identify you, which was a libel, which was a defame by calling you a black person, which you're not. Because to be a black person is to automatically be property of the United States as a citizen. Islam? So, there are 3 things you want to do when you're putting your claims in, when you're rebutting, when you're pleading. As an affidavit of fact, your affidavit of facts are pleas to the court, yo. You already know that. They are pleas. They're answers to the claim of the plaintiff. And these plaintiffs are so-called United States citizens. And pursuant to treaty of peace and friendship between the Moors and United States citizens, the consuls are to oh goodness, settle disputes.
There you go.
I'm getting it. You got covert. Covert. I don't have that out here. I'm mad. Covert versus Oregon. Covert versus Oregon says states cannot ignore treaty obligations of the federal government. Because every treaty that's in public law is automatically in the municipal statutes of every state who signed on to that constitution. Islam? Every state. So they're warring against you, Moors, by acting like they don't know that you are the law. You are the government. Because you're sovereign. And they have to do what you tell them to do as Moorish subjects. Because they lost their nationality by coming over here and being naturalized under the United States citizenry and claiming to be that. They lost it. They can reclaim it, but they probably got to go back to whatever nation they come from to proclaim it. And then come here lawfully without a legal disability. And to come back lawfully is through those treaty relationships. A lot of other nations come here through those treaties, Moors. Ask to see your friends that belong to other countries that come over. Ask them to show you a picture of their nationality identification card. But don't say that. Ask them to send you a picture. Ask them to show it to you. They probably gonna act like they don't have it, or they might have like the corporate card just so they can show you. Not sure that anybody who has a nationality and who has treaty relationships with the United States will come over as a resident when they got treaty rights. So ask them. Like, can I see it? Can I see a copy of your nationality identification card? I bet you they're gonna act like they don't know what you're talking about, even though they know exactly what you're talking about. They don't have those state war cards. You do. I'm just saying. They know who they are. You don't know who you are. Now, since we got jurisdiction out the way, did we do that? We didn't get jurisdiction out the way? Did we not get jurisdiction out the way? What's wrong? I thought we did. There's a process before you send in any notices of removals, Morris. Y'all have to get competent in how to operate in your nobility, right? First thing you should be putting on the record. At the what?
Please write this down, because we go over this about 20 times a day.
When you have to make an adverse claim in a quasi court because one of the so-called United States citizens put a claim against you, could have been a corporation, could have been an actual citizen, and that citizens, if they're quasi or not, because the one's black, one's white, don't matter. Don't matter. They're all citizens because they're property of the United States. Because they haven't declared or proclaimed their nationality, and they never rebutted the 14th Amendment assumption as to their status. Put on the record at the clerk of courts or the court administrator. These things you want to put on the record before you even do your notice of removal. I don't want to write it all out. I'm tired. These are copies, y'all, not the originals. Please keep your originals. Copies. Copies of your nationality documents and your IDs. A copy of your nationality and your IDs shall be placed on the record under the libels. Under the libels, which is the so-called docket number, which is the so-called charges, which are the so-called claims. And it's all civil, ain't none of it criminal. It's only one thing you can be charged with criminally. That's if you injure or wound or kill a being, human. Everything else is civil. No matter what they say to you, civil. And why is that? I wish I had the stat to give it to you. Because it says it in the codes that all law is commerce and all cases are civil. Because criminally, the only thing you can be held to is Article 21, Moors, of the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. And guess what I just said, y'all? Y'all didn't catch it, Moorish subjects. I don't have the treaty. Yes, I do. I have the treaty. I don't want to go to the treaty, y'all. I don't. I'm going to so many places here. I'm trying to stay focused on one thing. I'm trying. Which is trying is doing. Is that not correct? Trying is doing. Islam? So, I'm going to go to it. Because I gave you arsenal. And I want to know if everybody recognizes that they have arsenal. I just told you, y'all all have a status. A legal status. So you can get rid of your legal disabilities. I just told you this. I wonder if you're going to catch it.
Yeah, sure am.
Yes, babe.
Tell them that if they don't get rid of their legal disabilities, they can never own land.
If you don't get rid of your legal disabilities, you can never own land. Moors. And let's be frank. Only Moors can own land. Okay? Everybody else can utilize it with the permission of the Moors, but you can never own it, because we cannot give away land. It's impossible, because it's our birthright, and it is only we as heirs are only monitoring the estate until our children get to a certain age, and then they're going to monitor the estate, and so forth and so forth and so forth. Because even though I am the owner of the land, I can never sell it. It's against the law for me to sell what is not mine outright, because it belongs to me and all the Moors. Islam? So if you have a legal disability, you cannot own land. You're sharecropping and you're renting, regardless of what paperwork you think you have, because you're a property under the United States citizen status. 14th Amendment. Private law, not positive law. Against the Constitution. You're not a party to the Constitution if you're a 14th Amendment citizen. Which is why you can't bring it up in court. If you are in a court. But if a court is not talking law, it is not a court. And you are not a citizen, let's say. A status, you're a quasi-citizen. I mean, we can go over this all day long. But I wanted to say something. And I forgot what that was, because I started going down rabbit holes. Like I do. So Article 20 of the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, which is the treaty with Morocco of 1836, page 486. I tell you, depending on where you get these documents, the page numbers will be different, because it depends on what document you're getting it out of, what book, what statute book, what book was authored it. That's why you got to make sure you get it from the public statutes at large. Because in the public statute at large is on 848. I thought it was to 847, but based on what I'm seeing here, I'm at 487. 487. Oh yeah, that's it. I'm correct. If any of the citizens of the United States or any persons under their protection shall have any disputes with each other, the consul shall decide between the parties, and whenever the consul shall require any aid or assistance from our government to enforce his decision, it shall be immediately granted him. And then under Article 20, if a citizen of the United States shall kill or wound a Moor, or on the contrary, if a Moor shall kill or wound a citizen of the United States, the law of the country shall take place, and equal justice shall be rendered, and the consul assisting at the trial. And if any delinquent shall make his escape, the consul shall not be answerable for him in any manner whatsoever. What am I saying? What I'm saying, Moors and Moorish subjects, which everybody is, who doesn't have a nationality. Thank you. I'm sorry. What I'm saying is, you have a status and standing. You're not declaring it. Everybody who's here who doesn't have a nationality is automatically a Moorish subject. You just don't have paperwork to reflect that. That's all. You just don't have paperwork to reflect that. Because in law, you're a Moorish subject. Automatic. So why are you claiming United States citizenship? Why? Because you didn't know. Well, now you know. So now you know what? If you don't come from an Asiatic Stargate, you're a what? Moorish subject. Because you don't have a nationality. If you do come from a Moorish Stargate, you are a Moor. That is the only difference. One is a Moor, the other one is a Moorish subject. One has a nationality here. The other one lost their nationality by naturalizing into the United States citizenship, and ergo lost their citizenship to one of the so-called European nations, if they're an Albion, or one of their other Asiatic nations, because they naturalized in the United States under the 14th Amendment. Or under the naturalization process of the United States, which was only corporate. The only thing that you should have been probably naturalizing was corporations that you had. I don't know. I wouldn't do that either, but, you know, to each his own. So, to be put on the record at the clerks of courts or the court administrator, copies under the libel, so make sure you put the libel, you put a cover letter, and it says these documents are to be if you're not going in person to the recorder of deeds, not the recorder of deeds, the clerk of courts or the court administrator, okay? So you want to put a copy of your nationality documents in your IDs. That's the first thing you want to do. The second thing you want to do is file affidavits, and I'm just going to put the numbers down because I don't want to write it all out. A19, A020, A021, and A022. And some people have baptismal records of live birth. Those also stand as nationality documents. It depends on what kind of nationality documents you have that are rebutting and putting the plea for the adverse claim that you're a so-called quasi-citizen of the state. That's how the state is presuming jurisdiction over you, because you didn't put anything in a record to affirm who you are, so they could correct their record. They're not going to do it on their own. They're going to presume everybody's the so-called United States citizens based on the 14th Amendment and based on your lack of a plea or a rebuttal. So, number 2, you want to put copies of the affidavits A019, which is the personam jurisdiction document, A020, which is the writ of discovery, A021, which is the averment of jurisdiction quo warranto, and then A022, which is the default notice for A20 and A21. These you're going to file. They're located on the website, and they can be emailed you. The website, the MoorishAmericanConsulate.org website, is being updated, so that information will all be updated, as well as the mailing location for nationality document. It is no longer located near Havertown 444. It's not there. I don't want to give you the mailing location because you cannot send your nationality documents there. Again, the website is being updated on the back end, and then once we're finished, it's going to be updated on the front end, so it will reflect what it is that we want you to have versus what's there today. However, the nationality documents you still can download, but send an email. Send an email to MoorishAmericanConsulateNE@gmail.com. Again, that's MoorishAmericanConsulateNE@gmail.com, and I will send you the updated documents, which reflects what is today, as well as the update of the nationality process, mailing locations, and where to send donations and processing costs. All right. So again, A19 is personam jurisdiction document. A20 is the writ of discovery. A21 is quo warranto, averment of jurisdiction. And A22 is the default notices for A20 and A21. Okay? So these documents must be placed first. Third is a lien on the libels, corporate courts, and administrators, I would say. Why are you placing that? Because they have you in their venue, and they didn't dismiss the case when you put on a record your nationality and documents. They're making the presumption based on the complaint. The complaint has you listed as property of the United States, which is why they're claiming jurisdiction. You're not that. That's why you have to put your nationality on the documents, and they know you're not that. 9 times out of 10, they know you're not that because they already received affidavits in the mail, certified, or you made that verbal pledge or oath or declaration as to you being a foreign national. And pursuant to the consul notification and access guide, they're required to treat you as such, which means they don't have jurisdiction over you unless you have some type of contractual obligation, which they would have to place into the record as evidence to support their jurisdiction. Right? They're not going to do that because they don't have it. Because you're a quasi-citizen. Because you never filled out documentations to be naturalized, and they can't presume, based on the 14th Amendment, which is based on negative law, that you're a citizen of the United States. They have nothing in their records to reflect that. Nothing. Because if they had it, they'd put it on the record and say, I got jurisdiction and this is how I have jurisdiction. Because lawfully they are required, once jurisdiction is challenged, to determine it. It must be determined. But they're putting things on the record, fraudulent things on the record, i.e. the claim, i.e. the so-called court-appointed attorney that they might place on you, but you didn't rebut. Make up all types of stuff. They lie all the time. You have to rebut it. I'm not a Negro, colored, and black person. Here's my nationality documents for the record. This is who I am. I'm foreign and I'm an alien to your jurisdiction. I.e., proper venue would be what? Consular court. Consular court. They would have to come to our consular court. I have some other things that I want to show you. What's an Indian? Do I want to go there? Did I put everything there? Fatima! Yeah. Did I put everything that we needed prior to notice of removal? I hope I have everything. I think I have everything. Oh, once you place these things on the record and they stamp file your document, so sometimes they'll just put it through a little stamper and they'll stamp file it. This is what I implore you to get to make sure it's in the record. Verify, certification, certify these lawful documents have been placed on the record. And you get that from either the court administrator or the clerk of courts. It's a document certifying that these lawful affidavits have been placed on the record, and they mentioned them specifically. Because they're going to try not to file your documents, and with the so-called COVID, they're trying to have a justifiable reasons for violating you still. They don't have it. Law is law. Just because we're going through COVID doesn't give them the opportunity to go against law. They can't put no executive order to say, oh, we ain't doing court for 6 months because we got COVID. No, they can't do that. Court's always open. Per the Constitution, courts are always open. They cannot close them down for any reason. They can't close nothing down for any reason. They can't do it. I'm just going to stay there. So, you have the right to face your accuser. You have the right to a jury of your peers, which would be Moorish American nationals. And you have a right to a proper venue. And if that venue is not proper, they have to dismiss on their own motion. And that's the only authority that they have, to dismiss on their own motion. Because they don't have jurisdiction. Because the so-called citizen, whether it be a corporation, whether it be a representative, an agent, heir, or a sign, doesn't have the lawful right to file that claim in that court. And they knew it in the beginning. That's why you put the commercial lien on them. That's why this lien, that's why number 3 is there. Because they already know you ain't part of the state. They already know that. That's why they file it there, because they're going to get a favorable reply as a resident of the state. Because based on the so-called laws, they have to follow the law as it relates to their citizens, based on their statutes. So if a citizen of the so-called state comes with a claim, they already got favoritism over you being at a legal disability. They already going to claim, adjudicate against whatever you're claiming. Because they have an allegiance contractual with that citizen, and they do not with you, because you're a quasi-citizen with a legal disability. Law doesn't denote to you. They don't have to honor you. They don't have to respect you. They can shoot you in the street whenever they want. And everybody's happy about these guilty pleas for these so-called policy enforcers. They're going to sit here, take him in the front door of the so-called prison and send his ass right out the back door when you ain't looking. Because that's what they do to their people, because they can't hold them to statutes and codes and an injury or a victim that's legal, has a legal disability. They're just doing this so you don't riot. Because you like to blow up stuff. Well, not blow up stuff. You like to burn stuff down and destroy property. And they don't want you to do that. So they're going to sit here and say, oh, he's guilty. Oh, yeah. Put him in the front door, take him out the back. Give them new citizenship paperwork and send them somewhere else. Most likely. So, you want to get a certified lawful document. Certified, these lawful documents have been placed on the record. These three. Islam. And there's processes in ways of getting all of this done. So this is what you have to do at the very bare minimum before you can put a notice of removal. And if you're doing this through the Northeast, if you're doing this, you already have a MAC number. You already have a MAC number. But if you haven't done this process through the Moorish American Consular Court under the Moorish National Republic Federal Government, Northeast and Maximum Territories and Dominions, I would need to record you and give you a MAC number before this process can be done through the Northeast. And this is all law. Binding in law. Meaning being in conformity with it and legal. Islam? I think I did enough. I think I said enough. I don't have my little handy dandy assistant out here to help me. But I'll try to end it just at 3 o'clock. So we got about 15 more minutes or 12 more minutes. So I will add something to that 12 minutes to end at 3 o'clock sharp. Islam. And I don't have my assistant to answer any questions or any of those things. Islam. There was something I wanted to mention. I can't think of it right now. I really can't. Oh, let's fill up the last 12 minutes with some things administratively. Moors, when you're filling out your nationality documents, make sure your appellation is in red ink, proper language. So when I say that, I mean to say, well, obviously you can't see it. I don't think you can see red. So this would be proper. That's proper. That's my appellation. Sharon Tracy Gale Bay. Sharon Tracy Gale Bay. The S, the T, the G, the B is capitalized. The rest lowercase. Proper. Make sure your appellation on your appellation correction and your judicial proclamation is in red ink and is proper English. The nom de guerre, you can choose two ways. You can either do it this way, or you can do it all caps. Or all caps. You can do it either way, right? And I'm not getting into that capitis diminutio. I'm not getting into that. Capitals. This is the resident. This is free national, more. National. This is legal disability. This is legal status. That's proper. And now some people contact me and say, well, I don't know where to put my nom de guerre or where to put my appellation. Well, you got to read the document. Tells you. If you're saying I am, well, you're declaring and proclaiming. You put your appellation. I am Sharon Tracy Gale Bay. Because it says ward, name. Where it says ward and name, you're going to put the legal disability name. You're going to put that there. Right? On the name appellation correction, there's only 2 places to put this, and they specify it by wardship name or name. So you're gonna know. So you automatically know where to put it. So when they say I am, you're talking about who you are. That's your status. That's your nationality. That's your appropriate title in red because you're living and you're making the distinction. So when they get your lawful documents, they know who's competent and know who's not competent. Islam? So that's as it relates to nationality documents, right? A person with a legal disability identifying as Negro, colored, black, and any of the other nom de guerres cannot autograph as a witness on your documents. They have to be in proper status to do it. With an L, a Bay, an Al, an Ali, and a Day, right? No need to get it notarized because you're not property needing to be verified and validated by the corporate state. So notaries are not necessary for your documents, so don't send them in with notaries. Islam? Don't send paperwork improper. If this is lowercase, this is lowercase, this is lowercase, this is lowercase, we're sending it back to you. We're not doing it because it's improper and it's wrong. Well, we're not going to put you back in slavery for fiat or for whatever reasons other people are doing that. Islam? What other issues do I have? When you send your nationality documentation, send the information sheet as well. So I can contact you if there are some issues or some minor corrections that need to be made on your nationality documents. And always recognize for the notice of removals processing, and I need to make sure these things have been filed with the clerk as it relates to the liables. And you need to send me proof of that. That's why you should make sure after you filed all of these, you got this from the clerk. The clerk's job is to do what you ask for. When they're sitting here putting their liables against you, you have a right to respond. And submitting your documentation for the record is your response, and they cannot violate you. But that's why you put the liens in, because they're supposed to be they're supposed to be abiding by, or not abiding by, they're supposed to be in conformity with the law if they're legal. Right? The mailing location for nationality should go to the Moorish American Consulate, care of 722 East Landis Avenue, Box 127, near Vineland, New Jersey, Republic 08361. Oh no, 08360. If you have questions, concerns that are brief in nature, call me at 856, or anybody else at the consulate, 856-982-8023. I mean, I could write these things down real quick since we only have, what, a couple minutes? How many more minutes we got? Did I go over? Oh, we got 6 more minutes. All right, I'll write it down. So you got all this. Hopefully, just take a picture of the screen. Take a picture. See you. email Moorish American Consulate ne@gmail.com. I'm gonna put the website down. I guess I can. It's the same thing as this, but .org. And then if you want to donate, because I gave you so much awesome information to do your studies, you can send it to either the, oh shucks, that ain't working. Maybe I use green. I don't know if that works. Cash App is Northeast. I don't know if y'all can see that. Which is if you want to send donations through Cash App, it's the money sign MAC Northeast. If you want to send PayPal, it's Ruth the Moabitess. So you got, if you the mailing location to send your documents for nationality is the Moorish American Consulate, care of 722 East Landis Avenue, Box 127, near Vineland, New Jersey, Republic 08360. We say near and care of because you don't have a residence, okay? You're taking yourself out of the jurisdiction. You're non-resident, non-domestic, non-assumptive. I can't say the word. Phone number 856-982-8023. Email Moorish American Consulate ne@gmail.com. Website www.moorishamericanconsulate.org. And for donations, if you want to send them to Cash App, it's $MAC MAC Northeast. For PayPal, it's Ruth the Moabitess. Islam? You want to send requests for MAC numbers here? But make sure when you send nationality documents, when you send requests for MAC numbers, when you send notice of removals, that you send photos as well as the information sheet so I can update the database. And always recognize Moors are the only ones who can do Moorish nationality documents. Everybody else does Moorish subject documents. If you don't come from a Moabitess Stargate, a Moorish a Moorish wound man Stargate, you're automatically a Moorish subject ipso jure. So do not send paperwork for Caucasians on nationality documents, because we have IDs for Moorish subjects, which we're almost done, and we have subject paperwork that are to be filed by them, not nationality documents, because they didn't come from our navel, right? So if they didn't come from our navel, we can't give them nationality documents. We can't let anybody hypothecate, because some of us have relationships with Albions. Not saying that look, you do you, but just be in honor when you send your documents, okay? Islam? I think that's all I have. And I don't know if y'all have questions, and it's 3 o'clock. So, Pax et Amor, peace and love. All is done in honor to uplift fallen humanity. And I love you all, no matter what color your skin is. I love you so. But we're going to always be in honor, and we're going to get rid of those legal disabilities we have. Okay? Or you have, because I don't have those. Pax et Amor, peace and love. Oh, everything did come out. Good.